Hello, welcome back to the RaoMoon Oracle. I'm Rao, and today we are continuing our seasonal readings. I'm super excited to actually get back around to this reading. I did this reading a year ago, and now it's time again for it once more. And this is the Winter's Light reading. So in winter, this is the time of year when things start to calm down, die down, things go into a dormant state, at least in the Northern Hemisphere, and the Southern Hemisphere, you're in the opposite, you're going into the summer. So the summer shadow reading, eventually that I'll get around to doing. But with winter here, yeah, we're coming into this dormant period, this pullback, this like let's relax, not necessarily relax, but let's rest, let's rejuvenate, let's recover. And that energy is super important in terms of the seasonal year and for our cycles, the cyclical nature that we have in our lives. So with winter, we're really asking the question, what do we need to let die? What do we need to let go dormant? What do we need to recover? What do we need to rest from? And this reading I think is super important as I'm going into it. It's one I really enjoyed when I filmed it for the first time and excited to come back to it now. And we're going to ask in the tarot readings, there's going to be 5 groups today. What do we need to let die? What do we need to let go dormant? What do we need to rest and recover from? We're going to get a card from probably the Tarot of the Divine, but at least a tarot deck to kind of get that initial energy. And then we'll proceed with some advice cards, getting the lesson this is a part of from our lessons Soul's Journey cards, getting some advice from one of the Moonology decks. The manifestation one specifically, and then we're going to finally finish up the reading with Earth Magic, which will show what we are working towards or growing again come spring, and that spring energy that we have as we get new fresh growth, once we have the space and time to recover and actually hold space in order for new things to grow and be abundant again in spring. So that's really important and a good process in the readings, I feel, to show the like movements through the seasons here. So we're going to have 5 groups today. I've got my crystals here, some kind of quartz snowy crystals that we're going to use in order to pick our groups today. So when you are ready, hop over to the next part of the video to pick your group for the day. I'll see you over there. Bye. Hello, welcome to the pick a group section, pick a crystal section of this video. So originally I didn't have the crystals still out on the scarf here, but I wanted to really get a good contrast for the different refractions and like elements that were in each of these crystals. So I thought this made them turn out a little bit nicer. So we'll get started now. So group number 1 is going to be over here, group number 2, group number 3, group number 4, and group number 5. So close-up look at group number 1 here. So this one is a little bit more of a smoky kind of like opaque look to it, not as much as one of the other groups here. This is our crystal here. We got a good shiny spot right there. Just a good basic, really good clear quartz here. There we go. You can kind of get it counter to the background there. So group number 1. This one is group number 2. This one is a much clearer piece of quartz. A lot of good refraction in this one. There we go. It's got kind of some starbursty looks in there. Ooh, look at that. That's a good spot right there. So this is group number 2 here. Beautiful piece. Group number 3, this one is a little bit more of a snowy quartz. We can see some of that opaqueness off to the side there. Let's see if we can focus in. Here's the back side of this one. We get some refraction in the side over here. Beautiful piece. This is group number 3. This one is group number 4. This one has a nice flat side on the back here as I'm kind of running my finger over it. Some good refraction pieces there. There we go, so group number 4. And then finally group number 5. This one definitely has a lot more opaqueness to it. So you can kind of see here, get a good close-up with the background on it. So not as much as refraction as other pieces, though we do see a little bit of like a spot in this where my thumb's at right there. You can kind of see it's catching the light. So it's much more of a like opaque, kind of like a foggy one. So this is group number 5. So Take a sec, pause the video if you need to, tune in whatever one is calling your name here. If there was a specific little part that like shined out to you that was bright where it caught your eye, those are all pieces that help you, and that's your intuition trying to talk to you, trying to be like, hey, pick me, pick me. So pay attention to those little feelings here, or muscle test, pendulum, whatever you feel like you need to. Maybe you spot a specific number on the clock or something like that. So whichever group you feel called to. When you are ready, timestamps are down below. Join me in your group when you are ready. I'll see you over there. Bye. Hello, hello, group number 1. So let's get a good like close-up look at your stone here. So this one has a little bit more of a smoky look to it, like a little bit more of that like snowy quartz look, just some of the way the inclusions are in that, but that's our stone here. So group number 1, so what we're going to do, we're going to get a card from the Tarot of the Divine. That's going to be the energy that you need to let die in winter, put to rest, no longer have in your life because it's no longer serving you anymore. So that'll kind of be that main theme here. We'll figure out what lesson it's a part of, how it looks in the larger picture with our Soul's Journey cards, get some advice from the Moonology to maybe help with that process here, or what else you might need to know. And then with our Earth Magic, we'll see what is going to bloom again, what is with this energy, working through this energy, what is going to bloom, come together, move through, and transition into spring as we get into that spring reading. And then if I feel like I need to, I might get a card from the Alchemy deck as well for just a little bit help with that transitionary energy, okay? So let us get started. Get all those up and out of the way. Okay. So Tarot of the Divine for group number 1 here for our Winter's Light reading. What do they need to let die, put to rest in winter here? What do they need to put to rest in winter? What is no longer serving them, and what do they need to put to rest? Oh, thank you. Nice and easy. That is the 7 of Coins in the reverse. So here's what that one looks up right here. That came out in the reverse. I'm going to get all of our cards out first so I can read all the cards together in one go. So that tends to be a little bit better, I think. So now our Soul's Journey cards. Okay, Soul's Journey. For the reverse 7 of Coins for group number 1, what they need to let rest, put to rest here in winter. What lesson is this a part of? What lesson is this a part of for group number 1? Thank you. There's one card. A lesson of failure. I understand that a mistake is only an opportunity to learn. So the big lesson is involving failure and how this looks and feels to you, group number 1. So actually, let me dive into this just for a second here, because I think these two go together, right? These two are a little bit bigger, and then we move on to the secondary part of the reading here. So overall with this lesson here, group number 1, right? So 7 of Coins is usually talking about the harvesting, all the effort and work we've put in, and pulling it all out together, harvesting what we've created, what we've made. But with it coming in reverse, we were definitely getting some setbacks here. There's maybe some procrastination, some failure that happened, right? So a lesson about failure is kind of the big deal here, right? The lesson and thought of failure and what it means. Failure, talking about, I understand that a mistake is only an opportunity to learn. What pops into my head just now, actually, that I recently just looked at again, was the movie Meet the Robinsons. And it's a little cartoon movie. It came out probably in the 2000s at some point. I'd have to double check. But it's a really, really cute Disney movie. And there is a scene in there where the main character, Lewis, he's trying to fix something for the family that's in the future here. He travels to the future with this other kid. And he's trying to fix this peanut butter and jelly making machine, as funny as it sounds. But there's a point where like he thinks he fixes the machine, right? And then the people are using it and it ends up exploding in their faces and peanut butter and jelly flies everywhere. And he gets really, really upset because he failed, right? But the family has this really good motto about keep moving forward and everything, and they actually celebrate the failure. There's a point in the scene where they're like, you failed, good job. And somebody's like, I've seen a better failure. That's like an 8 out of, like a 5 out of 10 or whatever. So the way failure was looked at in that situation by the family, which is really good for young kids especially, was that it's an opportunity to learn. It's an opportunity to grow. From failure, we learn from success, not so much. And that is a quote from the movie that I think is really good here. So the lesson of failure is what we're really looking at to try and understand better about the situation. There is an opportunity here to be in a growth mindset versus a fixed mindset. That's actually a book that I read. And when you can look up the thought process behind it, right, is a fixed mindset is the one that limits us. The one where it's like failure sucks. I can't do anything. I can't change the situation. I just suck at this thing, blah, blah, blah. That kind of mentality, right? Versus a growth mindset looks at failure as an opportunity to grow and to learn more. Everything is a growth opportunity. Everything is an opportunity to learn and take that situation and grow from it, right? That's the growth mindset in this case. So looking at failure, you see what you didn't get right the first time, and then you can figure out the next thing to do. You can figure out another way to do the situation. It's an opportunity to learn. So the situation that you're working on here, group number one, really with our 7 of coins in the reverse or 7 of pentacles in reverse, is that it's like, okay, there was something that we just weren't doing quite right. It was a situation that we were procrastinating on, or we just felt like we failed, that we couldn't get quite right. The story here, now the card is showing, let me look it up real quick. There we go, coins. Comes from Mexico, and it's an Aztec mythology. Let's see if we can get a good close-up on there. There we go. So I'm not going to pronounce that name, but it's mythos from Aztec in Mexico and the story here, right? So we're really talking about those setbacks and delays that happen with a reverse 7 of Pentacles. So this definitely might be in like a career situation potentially, or a big project you were working on, and you just are really feeling that, not quite desolation's too big of a word for it, but that like major disappointment for this perceived failure, right? So failure is, in this case, what has happened. It is the lesson we're learning from. But again, this is an opportunity to reconceptualize what failure means to you and move forward with that energy in a growth mindset versus a fixed mindset. Looking at an opportunity like, okay, what did I learn? What did I learn from this 7 of coins situation in the reverse? What did I learn from the failures of that project, the things that didn't go right? What did I learn from that? What can I do better now? And that's how we move forward, okay? So let us get a little bit further in here. This is the energy we need to let pass and put to bed now in winter. Let it go to rest. We don't need to be in this energy anymore. We need to look at failure in a positive way. So let's get some advice with our Moonology manifestation cards. Doesn't help, right, with the situation. It's like, okay, I can tell this to you and be like, okay, this is what you need to do, right? But if without actionable steps, it can be a little bit more difficult. So with our Moonology manifestation cards, let's see. What advice can you give group number one here with their lesson of failure? What lesson can we help give? What advice can we give for this lesson of failure for group number one, please? Thank you. That's 2, but these are sticky, so we'll just... take a breather, release your blocks. So this is first quarter moon in Scorpio, release your blocks. So I'll actually read from the booklet for that. I think that'll be most beneficial, and these can be very little specific pieces of advice here, but let's read from the book on this one. So first quarter in Scorpio, release your blocks. When it comes to pushing through your fears and any other negative feelings, you're going to have to dig deeper. The only thing we have to fear is fear itself, because fear blocks us. Make time to clear any toxic feelings around you. Don't let pride stop you from showing how dearly you want something. It's okay to be vulnerable. If you know the people you're dealing with are trustworthy, think about others. Okay, reread that. It's okay to be vulnerable if you know the people you're dealing with are trustworthy. There we go. Think about others as much as yourself. So, let's see. So think about what a mental detox would involve for you. For example, avoiding people that you argue with, violence on TV, etc. Make time for some. There's light and shade in your situation, and you need to embrace it. Don't get stuck on one idea and refuse to budge, right? So that's when we're going to hit those setbacks here with the reverse 7 of coins. And then this failure comes about, right? Where if you're a little bit too rigid in the situation here, you're a little bit too rigid in what's going on, then it makes that's when this process becomes more difficult, right? And you're going to see more failure because maybe you need to have a little bit more consideration for others in the situation, especially if you're working on a project, right? But there might be others in the situation and you really know that one person potentially had a really good idea, but you didn't want to do that because it wasn't your idea. So you had a little bit more pride, right? So you didn't want to go with that. But then the situation had this big major failure, this big setback that happened, right? So with failure, that's your opportunity to learn here, releasing the blocks, releasing the fear, the pride potentially in the situation. I'm just giving what I was saying as an example here, but it can apply to lots of different things, right? We need to dig a little bit deeper, look at things in a little bit deeper way, take the time to breathe and think through the situation. That's the other card that came out with this last quarter, Moon in Cancer. Take a breather. But we need to figure out, identify what these blocks are here. This is the advice of the card. So digging really deep in. Therapy is good for something like this. Journaling, talking to like a video right here, talking with a friend, trying to really figure out deep down what is actually triggering for you in the situation, what's actually feels hurtful for you, why you don't want to maybe take somebody else's advice or idea and stuff. And honestly, if we don't end up working through this energy, right, we do this, then we keep hitting this failure over and over again, and we're not actually learning from the opportunity presented to us, okay? Group number 1, so this is the advice. This is what we have for the Moonology manifestation cards. With us doing all of this, right, if we actually take the time with winter's energy, the winter light here, this is the light in the midst of dark and winter, right? Winter is a time of death, when all the things go dormant, go to sleep, sometimes die off so they can regrow again or have the energy to regrow again in spring. If we actually let this thing die, this pride, this fixed mindset of what failure looks like for our reverse 7 of coins, if we actually let it die and go to sleep and not get involved with it anymore, let's see what's going to come again now with earth magic and grow for you in spring, okay? Okay, so earth magic. If group number 1's able to follow through with letting this energy of the reverse 7 of coins go to sleep, die off, pass away now in winter, what can they expect in spring? If they follow through with this lesson, what can group number 1 expect in spring here? Thank you. A release. Release your blocks. Release with autumn equinox here. Beautiful, beautiful card. So what I'm seeing off the bat for that too is it might take a little bit longer than spring for this lesson to finish up, or somebody who is in the Southern Hemisphere is watching this, because this is reverse energy, then this is summer energy, and then going into the autumn for them, right? So if that's you, then that resonates with the situation. It's still the same lesson. I'm talking about winter here, and winter's light, but the reverse is that summer's shadow, right? So it's summer energy and the shadow that's kind of blocking you, and then that gets released now in autumn. With autumn's harvest. But with autumn here, with autumn equinox, this energy of release, that is when the plants have finished, right? The plants have finished with their growth cycles and they're able to let go of these things. That's when we harvest things. That's when we harvest all the corn that's been grown and the grains and all those pieces and take that in to prepare ourselves for the winter time. So we have all those where that's when we used to like gather all those things, prepare the meats for the winter. We used to can everything, like do the canning process or whatever, so things could be preserved. This release energy is going to be super important here for you, group number 1. Let me double check the energy of this one real quick, make sure I have it right. Autumn equinox. Now is the time to let anything in your life fall away that is no longer useful or needed for the emerging expression of who you are. Allow yourself to gradually shed what has become burdensome and no longer congruent with your soul's purpose. Conserve your energy by allowing yourself more rest. So release your blocks, but guess what? That take a breather card, right? Take a breather card. So conserve your energy by allowing yourself more rest while at the same time making preparations for the winter season. Look especially at your material possessions. And be brutally honest with yourself as you discern which of these can be given away or somehow released. And this is also in terms of your energy, right? In terms of your negative feelings and situations about things, right? We dig really deep down, figure out what the release of these blocks, release again. And then we have this good energy. So consider shedding relationships that have served their purpose and are no longer viable, as well as work or a job that has become devoid of interest and passion. With release comes a sense of being much lighter, just like the trees that have openly bear their nakedness, and once their leaves have departed and give room for whatever new life is ready to birth following the period of quiet and gestation. So let go of whatever has outlived its purposefulness and trust that something else will take its place. Very good energy here for you, group number 1. So this breath energy, this take a breather, is definitely important for you as well, with this energy of the autumn equinox and the release your blocks from the first quarter moon in Scorpio, right? So overall, the situation, right? We've had these setbacks. We've had this situation over here that we've been like, this sucks. Why can't I get this right? Why can't I figure this out? I feel like such a failure, right? But this is that big lesson. This is the big overall lesson that is taking place. This failure, I want you to kind of picture if this is the overarching lesson here. But we're looking at the situation, and then you're like, okay, how can I look at things differently? How can I release some of these blockages? How can I take the opportunity to release this energy, look at things in a different manner, look at failure as an opportunity to grow and release things about myself that are no longer serving me? And we do this through winter, right? By taking this breather, taking this opportunity to just rest a little bit, really think about ourselves, really take stock of the situation at hand of ourselves, what we have to offer, what we can offer without depleting our energy, and then changing up how we see things if we need to, right? And then coming again around in spring, which is really funny, actually, we get this autumn equinox energy. The release that we have allows so much more room, right? We have an opportunity to grow so many more things because we release so much stuff. At the time we get through this winter process, we're coming into spring, and we have the opportunity to really keep releasing a lot of things that have been bogging us down for a really, really long time here, group number 1, okay? I do want to get an alchemy card. I think it'll help round out the energy here. So let's get a card from our alchemy deck. Okay, alchemy deck. What insight can you help finish out with this reading here? What insight can you give us to help round out this reading here for group number 1? Oops, way too many cards, but we'll just take that top card. The Peacock's Tail. So Peacock's Tail talks about our perception, our look at life in a whole new way. So think about Peacock's Tail and think about just seeing things in a monotone black and white for a really, really long period of time. And then all of a sudden you see all this color, right? All of a sudden all this color comes out with the Peacock's Tail. You get to see everything from a whole new perspective, a whole new way of life. And with the alchemy deck, think about how things are changing in your life. Alchemy really talks about that transformation process, that changing of one thing into the other. So this process, right, and I put it purposely on top of failure over here, is really about changing your perspective. At the end of the day, it's really about changing the perspective, how we see things, how we see the world, and allowing ourselves to think about the situation or any of our situations in a new way, right? For me personally, when I really was able to work myself out of a fixed mindset into a growth mindset, it really changed up lots of situations. I could see the bigger lesson in a situation. I could see, even if I was going through something shitty at the time, I could see the situation in a bigger picture and what it was actually teaching me, and release much more quickly the negative emotions I was attaching to the situation, and working through these blockages I had at the same time by really working into this growth mindset. Looking at failure in a way of an opportunity to learn versus I suck at this thing, or this situation sucks, right? I failed at this thing. Really looking at it as, I'm like, okay, what can I learn? If you take the opportunity in any situation and ask, whatever's even a sucky situation, a positive situation too, literally any situation. If you ask what's here for me to learn, what can I learn from it? You're gonna really change up your life very, very rapidly. And this is a good transformation energy that shows up with the Peacock's Tail here, right? Again, seeing color for the first time completely. Somebody who is colorblind and able to see all the colors all of a sudden. That's kind of the change of perspective. It goes from like one perspective to a multitude of perspectives. So that's really, really strong energy here, group number 1. So here in overall, we'll kind of wrap it up here. Oh, excuse me, one more. Okay. Apparently, yep, we're doing good with the sneezing here. So wrapping it all up here for your winter's light reading here, group number 1, is you are really looking at a situation that is teaching you how to change your perspective about failure and changing your entire mindset into an opportunity for growth with every aspect of your life. This aspect of growth and learning, this change of perspective here, really gives you the opportunity to release many more blockages in your life, creating an opportunity for release in the coming months in spring, giving you more and more opportunities to release more things that have been bogging you down. And you do this by taking an opportunity to breathe and settle down a little bit here in winter with winter's light, taking that opportunity to be like, okay, let me calm down a little bit. Let me really think through everything. Let me make sure I'm really coming into this new perspective here, because then you have the opportunity to have many more opportunities in your life come spring, and as you work through this energy, working through and even through the rest of the year, right? This is a lifelong lesson that will pay dividends in so many aspects of your life that you might not even realize it off the bat. So really take the opportunity here, group number 1, to look through everything, take a really good deep look at your situation. So take the basis of this opportunity here, the thing that you need to let pass away now in winter, take that situation, whatever it is, and dig down, like rip it apart, dig down deep into every little aspect of it, every little feeling you have, and try and look at everything in the situation from this newer perspective, this peacock tail perspective of, hey, what can I learn? This thing sucked. I didn't like this in that situation. What can I learn from it? Okay, cool. I learned this thing from it now. Well, okay, this little thing over here that I also ripped apart in this. Okay, what can I learn from this? There's many, many lessons here you can learn from, and this is how you release your blocks and release your energy as a whole, so you have the opportunity to grow. Okay, so group number 1, hopefully that resonates with you. Hopefully that makes sense. A lot of energy going on here, right? The progression of this reading was very, very interesting here. So take the opportunity with winter to just really dig down deep. You have the opportunity to take a little bit more rest, right? Take a little bit more time to rejuvenate yourself, get into this energy, have the opportunity to change up your situation very, very and rapidly, but in a way that is going to be lifelong, that will give you lots of great opportunities in your future. Okay, group number 1, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. I'll see you in the next reading. Have a wonderful, wonderful winter, and I'll see you for this one specifically in the spring. Have a good day. Bye. Hello, group number 2. So you have this pretty quartz piece here. Yours is a little bit more clear versus some of the ones that are a little bit more snowy. So quartz is a little hard to get a good look at sometimes, but you got a lot of pretty like fractioning in this one. So that is group number 2 here. So group number 2, what we're going to do for this reading here, so we're going to get a card from the Tarot of the Divine. This is going to be the lesson, the energy that we need to let die, let rest, let go to sleep here in winter, what we need to kind of let pass on because it's no longer serving us anymore. We're going to see then what lesson it is a part of with our Soul's Journey cards here, get that good overall picture. I'll probably do like a little bit of a mini section here with these two because they're going to relate to each other. Once we know what the energy of these 2 cards are, then we're going to move into our Moonology manifestation cards. That'll give us some advice for how to proceed with that lesson, how to move through this lesson that we see in these 2 cards over here. Once we're done with that and get our advice here, then we're going to see what is going to renew, come to fruition with our spring energy coming up, with that spring growth energy with our earth magic cards over here. And probably to finish out the reading, give it a little bit more structure and round out the energy, I'll get an alchemy card just to see how that energy is changing and transforming. So far it's tied in with the energy of these 2 cards over here, that kind of bigger lesson, that perspective change, that energy that's changing and transitioning. So let's get started now with the Tarot of the Divine. Get these guys over here. Okay. So Tarot of the Divine for group number 2 here. What do they need to let pass on in winter? For their Winter's Light reading, what do they need to let pass on in winter? Thank you. That was quick. That is going to be a reverse 4 of coins energy. So there's 4 coins in the upright here, reverse 4 of coins. Okay, let's see what lesson this is a part of now with the Soul's Journey cards. Get it tied in with the bigger theme, the bigger lesson here. Okay, Soul's Journey cards for group number 2 here for their Winter's Light reading, what they need to let die and pass on in winter with a reverse 4 of coins. What lesson is this a part of? Thank you. As it falls to the ground. That is the card of courage. I find the inner strength to face fear with confidence. Okay. So we'll get these ones centered and talk about them for a minute now. So group number 2 here with our 4 of coins. The story this one is a part of is one I want to show you real quick out of the guidebook. So each of these for the Tarot of the Divine talks about a specific mythology, fairy tale from different areas of the world. So this one is the Condor's Wife, which comes from Peru. And what this one talks about is the condor not wanting to let go of his wife. So the 4 of coins represents greed and an unwillingness to open up or share. Condor covets his wife who does not like his lifestyle or living with him. He recognizes her unhappiness but is unwilling to make changes or set her free. So it's interesting here. It's that aspect of greed, but with the card coming in reverse, right? We are trying to make the proper decision in the situation. This actually with the card of courage over here, this one talked about relationships as well. So there could be an aspect of that here for some of you in group number 2 with the courage to potentially leave a situation that's no longer fruitful, that's not going to pan out in the long run, that is potentially damaging to us, right? It is hurtful. This condor, right? And this Peruvian fairy tale here being very controlling of their partner here, being very controlling of their relationship and the person in their relationship and not wanting to let them go and live their life, even though they might know, or you might know that it's no longer working anymore. Whether or not you're the condor in the situation or the partner is going to be up to your interpretation of your personal situation. But there is courage needed here. This is the lesson we're looking at, finding inner strength to face the fear with confidence. And this could be the opportunity to show courage to leave the situation, even though it's scary for you, right? Leaving something like a relationship or a job, because this could be referring to the job as well. We have the 4 of coins here, coins referring to our physical reality, our job, our career, our money sometimes. But having the courage to leave that job that is no longer serving you, right? Or that relationship that is just harming you at this point, and we need to move on properly from the situation. So that's going to be very important here to look at for your situation here, group number 2. And what you need to let pass away now in winter, right? You need to let something pass away, and it's something kind of big here. Something like a career, a job, a relationship, something that is just, it's not fruitful anymore. It doesn't work anymore. It's just going to be harmful in the long run because there is poison now in the situation, right? It's just going to keep hurting you if you don't have the courage that you need, the inner strength to work through why you don't want to leave that situation, right? Whatever fear this is. There is always facing a fear that we need to do in when we're trying to be courageous, have that confidence, right? Whatever the fear is, if it's fear of not having enough, right? Fear of lack, that money aspect coming in, or fear of being alone, that's that relationship aspect, right? We are too scared to be alone, so we're going to stay in the relationship that's harmful to us, potentially abusive in some capacity, because we are too scared. We don't have the courage we need in order to leave that situation, to leave that relationship. That's going to be the big thought process here that you need to look at and be in tune with as you're moving forward here, group number 2 with our Winter's Light reading. So let's get a little bit closer look. Let's get some advice now from our Moonology cards. Our Moonology manifestation cards. Let's see. Okay. So Moonology cards. What advice can we give group number 2 here for their Winter's Light reading for this death process that's happening with the reverse 4 of coins and the lesson of courage? What advice can we give them? Okay. The one on top in this case. Yeah, because it's individuals. So I don't do reversals in this one, but this is be proud of yourself. Last quarter moon in Taurus, right? There we go. So
for you, group number 2, right, there is a call in this situation to be proud of who you are, of what you've managed to create for yourself, of who you managed to become, right? I'll keep going with the metaphors for like a career or like a job and then a relationship as well, because that feels like there's kind of that both of those aspects in this reading, right? But being proud of yourself, right? If you built up in the career field, right, you built up these skill sets, you built up this knowledge, and you need to have pride in yourself and recognize the amount of power and inner strength you have, right? That's what this card is talking about, the amount of inner strength you have, because while it's scary to leave something that is maybe financially stable for yourself, like in a career or job field, right? If you're not being treated correctly, if you're not being treated how you're supposed to be being treated in that job, where you're not respected in the way you are, people talk over you, maybe you have bosses that really nitpick at your work and everything, despite the fact you know that you are doing a really, really good job, that is going to wear you down after a point, right? It's going to hurt and keep wearing you down, and you need to have this courage in order to leave that situation. So part of that lesson here, using the advice from this card, is to be proud of yourself. Be proud of what you've done. Be proud of what you know, right? Be proud of your education. Be proud of the things you've accomplished, the projects you've done, right? You look at that from that perspective, and then you force others look at it from the same way, because you're putting out this energy, right? In terms of relationships, and being proud of who you are, knowing that you deserve the best, being proud of yourself and what you have done, what situations you've managed to go work through, that you've gone through that maybe have been painful or hurtful, and being proud that you came out on the other side of it, being proud that you're like, okay, hey, I know I'm strong. I know I can do these things. I know I can handle being by myself if I have to, right? I know I can handle that situation, because you are proud of yourself. You do love yourself and take care of yourself. Being proud of yourself is the part of that self-care that is needed here. Making sure that you're like, okay, hey, yes, this freaking sucks, right? This condor is super controlling over me in the situation. I feel like I can't do anything. But if you have the courage to leave and end that relationship and that situation that both of these cards are talking about, then that shows that you are proud of yourself, that you use your pride, and use your pride that you deserve better than what the situation is here, right? And that helps you build up the courage needed. Let me double check here in the book, make sure there's nothing else that I want to talk about once I read the full description here. Taurus. So, question here, do you really believe in you? No one is perfect, but you need to believe in yourself and what you have to offer. That could be relationship and or career, right? Be proud of yourself. You came to this earth with a purpose to fulfill. Drawing this card suggests there's a lot of unresolved self-worth questions that need to be answered before you can start to create the life you know is waiting for you. So self-worth in a relationship, maybe. Do I really deserve to be happy? Do I really deserve to have a fulfilling relationship? And in a career, do I really deserve to be respected in the way I hope for? Do I deserve to feel fulfilled in my career, right? Those are questions of the self-worth here. Be real is the key here. Don't pretend for appearance sake. Have courage. You are more than allowed and encouraged to be your real self. In an age where people pretend to lead a perfect life, there's nothing more impressive than true authenticity. So that's you being true to yourself, right? That takes courage here as well, group number 2. Taking the courage to honor yourself and what you truly deserve, and therefore desire to. So let's see, anything else here I want to talk about. Don't compare yourself to anyone else. Instead, to start to recognize your own talents and assets. That's the good part here for that career reading. Really making sure you are like recognize what you have to offer everybody. So yeah, definitely feels like there are two separate groupings here. Somebody who's going through a relationship thing and somebody who's going through a career thing. So not a big deal. That's why it's pretty easy to read for both. But this advice here coming out for you, group number 2, being proud of yourself, is the ultimate piece of knowledge you need in order to move forward, right? If you are proud of yourself, proud of who you are, what you can offer the world, what you can know you can accomplish, knowing you have self-worth, then this should hopefully make the whole process easier to have the courage you need to face whatever fear this is with confidence, with that inner strength you have. So moving forward in that aspect. Okay, let's move on now. If we work through this process, if we let the situation pass on like it needs to, like it's asking us to do in winter here for our winter's light reading group number 2, if we let the situation pass on with the reverse 4 of coins, because we have the courage to stand up for ourselves in the situation, courage to face that fear that we have, and we did that process through being proud of ourselves, knowing that we are worthy of these things that we desire, knowing we are worthy to receive these things. With all that done, with that lesson worked through, let's see what comes about now with earth magic and spring, okay? What you end up manifesting, what you end up bringing forth for yourself if you work through this energy in spring, into spring. So, earth magic. If group number 2 works through this process here, what can they expect in spring? What will come about for them in spring if they work through this process and let this pass on in winter like they should? What will come about for them in spring then? Bottom. Okay. What is that card? Rebirth. Good to know. Okay. But this card is generations. Okay. I think the rebirth pulls in an important aspect as well, so I'll kind of leave that hanging out up here as well. Group number 2, pull these down a bit so we can kind of just see. Spring equinox, that is interesting to look at, but in terms of ancestors and generations, right, this is something that will affect many, many people down the line, whether or not you have biological kids, kids that are adopted, anybody in your field, right? Anybody who you have an influence on that is younger than yourself. This is something that will affect them down the line through many generations, right? People being able to see this process, seeing others go through this process, having the courage to leave things that don't serve them anymore, seeing others go through the process of like, hey, no, I deserve better. I'm proud of myself. I'm proud of what I can accomplish. I have so much to offer. I have so much self-worth and worth to offer the world. So I'm not going to stay in this situation that doesn't serve me anymore. I'm not going to stay in that situation. People seeing that situation play out for somebody else shows them that it's possible for themselves as well. So that's where this generational energy comes in, right? So this is energy that you're then able to offer others. This is energy that you're able to impart on others. You're able to offer this advice, this courage to other people that need it, right? Because you've gone through the situation yourself. I think this rebirth card is super important as well, though, the spring equinox rebirth, because it is a whole rebirth process for you, group number 2. With you going through this process here and actually truly believing this, truly knowing that you have worth and having the courage to act on it and leave situations that are not fulfilling for you, that you are harmful to you, having the courage to be able to leave them is an entire rebirth process, because then it makes the situation easier to do over and over and over again. Then you are no longer, you've done it once, right? You got over the initial fear of it and it sucks potentially. It's going to be a really hard process the first time. Anything we do for the first time is super, super difficult, right? Or very, very challenging. I'm going to get some water here. I'm talking so much. But this is the same with anything, right? Anytime we do something for the first time, it's really difficult. It could be really difficult. Even me, say for like these videos, right? Creating these videos, doing this reading, right? I was looking back on the previous Winter's Light reading that I did last year, and the flow of my readings is a lot different because it was so early on and I didn't quite have the same energy behind it and everything, but it's gotten easier because I kept doing it over and over again. Something that I was scared to do the first time becomes easier once I do it again and again and again. That's kind of that exposure therapy almost, right? So with that in mind, being able to work through this process at a quicker and quicker rate, this is an entire rebirth that happens here for you, group number 2. This being able to go through this process quick, and then you completely change your life because you are like, okay, nope, I'm not going to do that. Don't care about that. That doesn't serve me. That doesn't work for me anymore. So I'm not going to stay. So then you can change your life very, very rapidly and keep offering this energy to generations younger than yourself, right? To younger people that you're around, to people that are maybe not in the same spiritual capacity that you are. You're able to offer this knowledge and information that'll pass down through their generational lines and through your own as well, depending on, of course, your situation and if you decide to have children or not, and or help raise children. But this is energy that will, in spring, change things up for you very, very rapidly, right? working through this energy. Come spring, you're going to feel this whole rebirth. You're going to feel like a new person and become more of a teacher in that aspect for showing others how to work through this process themselves. Okay, let's get an alchemy card now. I kind of want to finish rounding out the energy of this reading. Let's throw that over there. Okay, alchemy for group number 2 here. What can you offer to help round out the energy of this reading? What else maybe did we miss, or what else do we need to know to help finish out this reading here for group number 2? Okay. That is the Raven's Head. So the Raven's Head talks about an initiation, right? So in terms of spirituality, right, in terms of offering knowledge and information to future generations, this initiation process happens with the Raven's Head, where it's like, okay, hey, you're going through this situation, this big process, but it's going to, whatever this big process is, maybe this is the first time you are leaving a really financial secure, that pays really well job, but going through this initiation of this process leads to this entire rebirth here. In terms of a relationship, right? We always constantly have different relationships in our lives. We have relationships with our parents, our siblings, our partners, our friends, co-workers, every type of person we're interacting with, we have a relationship with of some sort. So knowing that you are being initiated into this greater energy of rebirth and courage, and courage to show others how to proceed forward, right? That is bigger energy, where you are the teacher here. You are the teacher of this situation. That kind of what feels like the energy that you are being initiated into here, group number 2. Let me double check here with the Raven's Head. It's been a minute since I looked at that reading, the description, so I just want to double check, make sure I didn't miss anything. Oh, XL. Yeah. Initiation, the ordeal, the work begins. The alchemy, it is so filled with I can't say that, of open-ended symbols, myriad, there we go. Open-ended symbol, the Raven Head has a precise message. It arrives to mark the beginning of the work. This card indicates something has occurred, known or unknown, to initiate the spinning of the alchemy wheel. It is the mighty churning, things that are about to change on every level. Yeah, big energy here, right? This big rebirth process. The Raven's work cannot be undone. It is just the pill cannot be unswallowed, or the pearl turned back to sand. So what this also tells me, right, is you kind of realize this, group number 2, you're at the point where you're like, yeah, you know something's not going on. You realize something's not going to work, that there is setbacks here for the situation. You're just working to build up the courage in order to leave the situation, right? So the pill can't be unswallowed, right? You can't go back. You've seen what's happened here. You see what's taken place. So you just know that it's like, nope, nothing's going to be the same anymore. So it's just trying to work through this process, right? Knowing you deserve better, having the courage to actually leave the situation that'll lead to this whole rebirth process. But this is the initial energy of it, this initiation, right? So, the Raven's work cannot be undone, just as the pill cannot be unswallowed or the pearl turned back to sand. You may be overwhelmed or think the journey ahead is not for you. Your doubts matter not to the Raven, as its appearance signifies it has chosen you. You are ready and the moment is now. Can you go back to the way things were? Can you pretend nothing has changed? The Raven cause a clear no. It does not apologize, as it knows your destiny is great. So, yeah, group number 2 here. There is a big energy going on for you here, this big initiation process. This is part of something bigger, whatever the situation is that you need to let pass on here in winter. But if you do go through this process, remember too, if you do let this happen, you're going to have a lot more that's going to come about for you. That'll be lots of positive, good energy going through this rebirth process, being able to be a teacher, a helper, and actually truly find the situations that are going to be beneficial for you, because you have this pride in yourself, this love for yourself that will continue to guide you to situations that will be beneficial for you in the long run. Okay. So group number 2, this is what I have for you. Hopefully it resonates. Hopefully it makes sense. I'll see you in the next reading. I hope you have a wonderful winter. I'll see you in spring for the spring growth reading, and have a wonderful rest of your day. I'll see you later. Bye. Hello, group number 3. So let's get a little bit closer look at your stone here. So this one's really pretty. Got some really good refractions in it for this crystal. Let's see. There we go. Kind of fades out a little bit more on my hand versus the background here, but this one's really pretty, a little bit more of a clear quartz versus a snowy quartz. but we got lots of pretty cool fraction pieces in here, which makes this stone really fun. So what we're going to do today, group number 3 for your winter's light reading, we are going to get a card from the Tarot of the Divine. This card will represent what needs to be put to rest in winter, what we need to like let die, let move on because it's no longer serving us anymore. Then we're going to get a little bit more clarification with the Soul's Journey cards, the lesson cards, to see what lesson this is a part of at like a bigger picture. These two cards will go together, showing that like the lesson we're learning, what's kind of going on with this specific thing that we're going with. What we need to look at for winter here as we're progressing through the seasons. And then we'll get an advice card from the Moonology deck, Moonology Manifestation Oracle cards. I want to get an advice card because it's one thing to say, hey, this is what's going on, this is what you're going through, but another, like, you need advice to like work through the situation, right? To actually like progress the situation and potentially have the situation resolve, right? But after we do all of that and we know what's going on, what we need to do in order to progress forward, if we do that energy, if we actually progress forward the way we're supposed to, we'll get a card from Earth Magic and see what will bloom again, what will come about for spring with new growth here, which will be very, very good to look at and something you can look forward to. And then I'll just kind of finish it up. It's going to depend. I've done it for the other two groups so far. I'll probably get a card from the Alchemy deck just to kind of help round out the energy, get a little bit more perspective. It tends to sit better with these two cards to just see how things are changing and transitioning, since Alchemy is all about that transformation process. So let's get started now. Let's get these out of the way. Stone flung over here. So I'll get a card now. Our main energy. Figure out what needs to be put to rest here in winter with our Tarot of the Divine. Okay. Tarot of the Divine for group number 3. What do they need to put to rest? What do they need to let die in winter now? What do they need to put to rest? What's no longer serving them? What do they need to put to rest? Oop, way too many cards. But the Three of Swords came out on its own. Okay, I like that. We'll keep that. That feels correct. So Three of Swords energy. So there's definitely some pain here that we're looking at, some deep emotional pain. This is the story of the Crane Wife. I just did a video about the Three of Swords, so I have a little bit of remembrance and knowledge on that one. But let's get a Soul's Journey cards now, see what lesson this is a part of. Okay, Soul's Journey for group number 3 here. What lesson is the Three of Swords a part of? What does group number 3 need to let die now in winter? Do they need to let go of that's no longer serving them? What do they need to let die in winter? What lesson is this a part of? Thank you. Empathy. Okay. This came out similar energy for the last reading I think I did. The empathy card. Okay, so we've got the Three of Swords here and empathy. So the Three of Swords in the upright. This is the story of the Crane Wife, which comes from a Japanese fairy tale, I believe, if I remember correctly. Let me double check. I should remember since I just did this recently, but I want to make sure we get that right. Yep. Japan, Japanese fairy tale, the Crane Wife. Three of Swords represents betrayal. The Crane Wife asks her husband for privacy, but he spies on her, only to discover she was hurting herself to help him. His spying was treacherous, but so was her inability to trust him with her secret. Heartbreak, self-harm, sadness, grief, separation. So, tying in with this lesson of empathy, right? Empathy card says, I'm open to seeing both sides of a situation. Empathy is a very important skill set to have. It is something that opens us up to lots of others. Seeing the others in a situation opens us up to a lot of lessons. Empathy is a very, very strong energy to have, and one that helps develop our skills too, in terms of like psychic abilities, being empathic, being engaged with people's emotions and everything. So with the Three of Swords coming out here, group number 3, and Three of Swords 3, we got some of that pairing, of course, as well. There's something that happened in your life that feels like a major betrayal that was very, very painful for you. Usually this imagery in like the original Right Away tarot is that heart that's pierced by 3 swords. So we see sometimes blood in that card. We see lots of red, that red heart, that coloring, that like there's sometimes like red thread. That's very common imagery in this card. We kind of get this like reddy pink color in this specific card as well with the Crane Wife here. And we see this kind of pinky color mirrored in our empathy cards with this mandala here as well. Getting a good close look at that one, right? So actually looking, look how close those, like that color is, right? It's almost the exact same color. That's really interesting. So with this energy, right, there is an opportunity to give empathy to yourself, to really take a look at the situation and give the care you need for yourself, or it might be empathy for others as well, right? The situation with the Three of Swords is a very painful situation. This is usually like getting cheated on potentially, like a marriage breaking up, getting like betrayed by a friend, like them like stabbing you in the back, so to speak. Think of that kind of energy with the Three of Swords here. So whatever's close is kind of tying in with that situation for you, group number 3, something very painful here with the Three of Swords that's happened. But where winter is coming in here and why this energy specifically asking you to put this to rest, to let it die and pass on, is more so to give the empathy to yourself, right? To recognize, hey, this is something shitty I went through. I went through this really shitty thing. This thing really, really sucks. It's super painful. It hurts. I have these swords in me, right? But why we are talking about it with winter's light energy here, right? Specifically with our crystal and that winter light energy, where it's like, okay, hey, what do we need to let rest? What do we need to let move on? What do we need to not like bring with us as we're transitioning into the new energy through winter into spring? And that's all this pain, right? Three of Swords, when it gets too far in its negative, getting too far in that grief and that loss and that pain and that misery and everything, we end up victimizing ourselves. And that's not a space we want to be in. We don't want to make the pain part of our identity here. So what I really feel, the empathy card, this is our lesson we're learning, right? The lesson, the overall big picture. I think it's really a lesson of empathy, empathy for ourselves. Empathy for respecting ourselves, knowing the situations we're going through, but also making sure that we are not letting ourselves play the victim, that we have enough respect for ourselves to make ourselves heal in the long run, right? This for winter, it feels like for you, group number 3, it's going to be a healing process, and giving this empathy to yourself, really looking at the situation from both sides in an internal way, where it's like, okay, hey, yes, this thing happened to me. It really sucked. I don't know what happened. I don't know why I got hurt this way, why the person decided to do that. You can look at the situations of other things. Usually hurt people, right? So you can have empathy for the person that hurt you, because you're like, okay, yeah, I know they have this shitty thing going on, and there's this shitty thing in their life and this shitty thing going on in their life. So you can recognize and have empathy for the fact that they have shitty things going on, which is why they hurt you. It doesn't excuse it for sure. That is not what I'm saying at all for like, hey, this is their excuse, their reason, right? No, they still shouldn't have done that. They still have free will and choice in the matter, but you can empathize and realize why these things came about, why they happened, and not take it maybe as deeply and personally as you otherwise might have. And then that's how you offer this empathy to others. And then how you offer it to yourself is like, okay, hey, I recognize that happened. I recognize why that person was so hurt that they ended up hurting me, but I'm not going to let that situation continue. I'm not going to accept that. I'm going to take these swords out of me, begin my healing process, work through this situation, this trauma, this pain, this hurt and everything, because I care about myself. I'm going to give empathy to myself and know that I understand what happened and why. I understand my role in the situation, but I forgive myself for it, take care of myself, and see both sides for, hey, I need to actually love myself and take care of myself better, right? So it's a hard process you're going through here, group number 3. This is tough energy for sure, and this lesson of empathy can be a very difficult one depending on the type of empathy we're working with. But let's get you some advice now from the Moonology cards, give you another way to help process this energy, another way to actually progress this energy. Because I can say all I want, okay, hey, we need to heal and work on ourselves and not let this hurt us anymore, right? We need to set boundaries potentially or cut people out, but giving like practical advice is going to be a little bit more helpful for you. So Moonology cards with the Three of Swords and the lesson of empathy. What advice can we offer group number 3 here? What advice can we offer group number 3, please? Top card, please. Actually, so So I got a lot of cards here. Do I? Okay, actually I want to reshuffle those. They're a little too sticky, and I usually only take a max of 2 cards, but okay. What advice can we offer group number 3 here? What advice will be most beneficial for them to work through this energy, work through this lesson? Okay, thank you. There we go. Full moon in Aquarius, be real. Nice bright full moon energy there. So be real. That can mean a couple different things. So let's get the description book out for this one, just so we make sure we get the full picture here. So Aquarius is going to be towards the back. Full moon in Aquarius, be real. Sometimes we pursue someone or something for all the wrong reasons. Our ego gets involved, and before we know it, we're driving ourselves crazy by chasing something that may not even be right for us. This card reminds you that sometimes you need to back off a little, worry less, and trust more. Life is about fun and laughter, but you'll take all the fun out of it if you spend too long in your head rather than your heart. You might win, but it might not be a great victory. Release. So find balance between being real and trying to please all of the people all the time. And then life goes in cycles. That's okay. The more you can accept that, the easier this phase will be for you. So I think that's the good advice part right there, is the cyclical nature of things, knowing that things do change and will change over time, and just being in tune with that energy. And the people-pleasing others part really stands out for me, for you, group number 3, with this 3 of Swords, right? So the crane wife here especially is harming herself because she's trying to help her husband, right? She's trying to offer, do something for her partner. And that's why she's hurting herself in the process and doing these things. But that's not beneficial, right? If the husband actually knew what was going on, knew what she was doing, he wouldn't want that to be the case, right? He wouldn't want his partner to be hurting themselves in order to help him. So that's the energy you kind of need to take into account here, right? And this is a deeper lesson of empathy as well, right? If you're really thinking about that other person you're caring about, have empathy for them. You know that what you're doing can potentially be hurtful to them. And you need to have that good, honest conversation, being real in the situation here, having that real conversation where it's like, okay, here's what I'm feeling. Here's the deeper situation. And then you offering this energy also lets them be real as well, and have like an honest, genuine communication where you really actually have empathy for each other, right? So this might not be the case for everybody, but the progression of trying to people please is going to be a big deal here, and ties in very heavily with the lesson of empathy with the 3 of Swords here for group number 3. Be real energy is this full moon in Aquarius is good energy for just anybody to have, to go about doing, right? It's the authenticity, being authentic to ourselves, our needs, where we can actually have genuine fulfilling lives, and loving and taking care of ourselves. And then us being real allows others to be real and have that same energy moving forward. And seeing others be in that space makes it easier for others to continue being you, being in that space, of being real, being authentic to yourself allows others to see that and recognize it and feel more free and able to be in that energy themselves as well. So there is a call here for you, group number 3, to be really honest with yourself, be real with yourself about what you're going through, having empathy for yourself and just as much care for yourself with this situation, whatever this pain was, whatever this betrayal was, being real with yourself, having empathy for yourself, that this situation sucked, but you need to take care of yourself, love yourself, heal yourself, right? Or if it's in terms of another person, right? Being real and on having a real honest conversation, having empathy for the other person as well for what they've gone through. If it's a situation where you mutually hurt each other, right? And mutually treacherous with each other, with the story of the crane wife here. And having a real honest conversation so then you guys can progress and move forward in the next steps, okay? So now what I want to do, we'll get a new card from the Earth Magic. If we take all this energy, take the lesson here, get real with ourselves and work through all this energy and finish out this lesson here, I want to see now what we can expect come spring with Earth Magic, okay? What is the next thing that will come about for us if we're able to work through and progress this energy, okay? So if you work through this big lesson, this big process, this painful lesson here, what can group number 3 expect come spring, the spring growth, Earth Magic? What can group 3 expect if they work through this lesson and complete this lesson here? They put this to rest, finally to rest. What can they expect come spring? Thank you. Ebb and flow. So remember how our full moon in Aquarius was talking about cycles, right? So ocean is that ebb and flow energy as well, and very important energy. So let's see, earth magic, ebb and flow, ocean. I haven't read as much from this deck lately, so I want to make sure I get the descriptions right. If I can find it. Ocean, there we go, ebb and flow. So an important aspect in the art of living is to move with the ebb and flow of your emotions, joining their fluidity, not being captured by it. It's not necessary to become obsessed with any particular fluctuation in mood or feeling, not victimizing ourselves with the Three of Swords, right? Not falling into that victim mentality, not falling into, sorry, as I kick you here, not falling into the pain of our situation and becoming a victim, right? They are simply emotions, often activated in ways that are completely beyond your understanding. When you neither minimize nor exaggerate the intensity and importance of your emotions, then you have a greater sense of when and how to express them. You've been fighting the ebb and flow of your own feelings, denying your hurt, anger, or sorrow, that Three of Swords energy for sure, by either attaching yourself to one or the other and nurturing it as if it were nursing a child, or else smothering over your feelings with more practice responses that deny and hide what's going on beneath the surface of your expression. When you attempt to constrict yourself from experiencing your emotions, it is much like trying to stem the tides that grow even more forceful with every attempt humans make to control them. Allow yourself to swim with these variations rather than resisting them. Yeah, so that ebb and flow energy is super important here. This idea of cycles and our ocean is ties in with our emotion. Anything water usually related in Aquarius is also, you see a lot of water in this card as well. The Aquarius is, hold on. No, Aquarius is an air sign, if I'm remembering correctly. Why can't I remember? Water sign, Scorpio, Cancer, Pisces. Yeah, so Aquarius is an air sign here, but we see a lot of water in this card, right? Tying in with the water of our ocean card, and also with the full moon, right? The moon is also really heavily tied to our emotional states, our deeper emotions. It's tied with it in terms of that watery energy pulling the tides, right? This ebb and flow energy here, and the moon in astrology is representative of our deeper emotions, like our internal self here. So that deeper internal self really tying in heavily with empathy as well. So there's a lot of energy here in terms of deep emotions, deep pain, deep hurt, right? If we think about the ocean as well, the ocean has those deep depths to it, those trenches, that deep emotion. So the pain here that's from the Three of Swords energy goes really, really deep. It feels like group number 3. Whatever the situation was that happens that we're trying to let go of and heal and put to bed here with winter, can go really, really deep. But that's why this energy of being real here, being authentic and honest with ourselves, is so important. And the energy that we get come spring, if we progress through this lesson here, is being able to flow with our emotions, being able to have this ebb and flow energy, flow with our life a little bit easier and a little bit more calmly, right? Not going against the tides here. And everything won't be as much of a struggle. We can flow with the energy a little bit more, and our life will feel a little bit more easy, right? You're coming in with the tide, going out with the tide, moving with the flows of the ocean. And that's going to be super important, and actually really will make life so much easier for you come spring if we can progress through this lesson, right? So while pain's never easy to go through, it is being able to be honest with ourselves and our emotions does make life easier, because then we know how to heal ourselves and take care of ourselves better, okay? So I do kind of want to finish this energy. Let's round it out now with our alchemy card, just to see how we finish out here. Okay, so alchemy, what else can you tell group number 3 here with all the energy out? What else do we need to know, or what have I missed? What else do we need to pay attention to potentially? Pluto energy. Okay, yeah. So Pluto energy. We also have winter underneath, which I think is interesting, and spring, both. Look at that. So winter, moving into spring. If we can get past this Pluto energy, right? So Pluto energy is usually a little bit more of a destructive energy. It's an energy where we look at the situation at hand. We're kind of going through this journey to the underworld. Pluto ties heavily in with like Hades, the underworld, that journey to the underworld and coming back out. Also think in terms of like the story with Hades and Persephone, right? And the Persephone's journey to the underworld, but coming back up in spring again, right? Going to the underworld, and it's a time of rest almost for her. And then she comes up and lets the world come back into spring energy. So this call to rest here is very important with Pluto energy for you, group number 3, it feels like. And to let this process finish out, this Pluto energy. There's a destruction process that's kind of been happening here with the 3 of Swords energy that does need to finish out here, where it's like, okay, this isn't sustainable anymore. This isn't working anymore. This isn't something that is beneficial to you anymore. So you need to let the situation actually finally die, right? Go to the underworld, go to this Pluto energy. You need to let the situation pass on. So then you can actually start this healing process that's going to happen come spring, if we can work through this lesson of empathy. That's going to be very important for you. So tough energy here, group number 3, for sure, just kind of looking at everything. But if we can work through this process, we're going to be able to just flow with life a lot better and a lot easier, and really have good deep healing that's going to benefit us many years down the line. Finishing out this big transformation process for ourselves as well, coming back up out of the underworld, this death process, this dark night of the soul energy almost, and coming up fresh with new energy, authenticity, being real with ourselves, really caring about ourselves at a very deep level as well, offering empathy to ourselves and to others through all aspects of life, through all journeys of life. That's going to be super important. Okay, so group number 3, that's what I have for you. Hopefully this resonates. Hopefully it makes sense. I will see you in the next reading come spring growth energy, that spring growth reading, or in just another reading on my channel here. But I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. I'll see you next time. Bye. Hello group number 4. So let's take a little bit closer look at your crystal here. So we got this pretty one for a clear quartz. This one's definitely more of a clear quartz. We can kind of see that refractioning as I'm moving the piece here, which is fun. This piece would be beautiful in the sunlight, I'm sure. So there's that piece of quartz here, whatever one you are drawn to. Get a kind of a good look over the background of the purple there. You can get the refractions in it. So very beautiful piece. I use most of these pieces in my grid work when I'm like trying to do manifestation work. Grid, and I have a bunch of them, so that's why I was able to pull a bunch of these here. But let's get started with your Winter's Light reading now. So what we're going to do today is we're going to get a card from the Tarot of the Divine. This card is going to represent what we need to let pass on, let die away in winter, that winter energy where things calm down, die off, so that they have the energy reserved to prepare again for come spring. And actually, these are out of order here, as I'm realizing just now. But yeah, this card will be representative of the energy you need to let die, pass on here in winter. We're going to get a little bit more clarification, see what lessons a part of their soul's journey cards here, tying in very heavily these two together. So the bigger lesson, the bigger picture, what we're really supposed to actually technically be doing with this energy, realizing with this energy, their lesson card here. With that energy, though, I would like to get a Moonology manifestation card, kind of get some advice for you. It's one thing to know what's going on and have an awareness of the situation. It's another thing to actually like do something about it. And this the Moonology manifestation cards are good for giving advice and be like, okay, here's how you actually will help progress the situation. By doing all of that, then that's when we move into the Earth Magic deck at that point. If we work through this lesson, if we take care of the lesson that is presented to us here, then we can see what will progress, what we can look forward to come spring with Earth Magic, and what energy will bloom in that like spring growth reading. Finally, if I feel like the call to do so, and so far I'll probably have an alchemy card. This kind of helps round out the reading, finish out the energy of the reading, and seeing how this energy is transforming, changing, moving through in that alchemy process, and just kind of helps us solidify all the energy here. So let's get started now with our Tarot of the Divine. Get these out of the way up here. So okay. Tarot of the Divine for group number 4. What situation do they need to let die? What situation do they need to let pass on here for winter? What situation do they need to let pass on in winter that's no longer serving them? What do they need to let go and let pass on? Group number 4. Nope, top card, thank you. 6 of coins, and then 8 of cups underneath, so a little bit of a journey there, so good to know, good to know. So we got the 6 of coins here. Get a good close-up look at that. This is upright 6 of coins. Okay, so then with Soul's Journey, let us see what this is a part of. Okay. Soul's Journey cards with the 6 of Cups out. What lesson is this a part of for group number 4? What do they need to let die in winter? What lesson are they working on with the 6 of Coins in winter? I think, okay, we like that one better. And then there's the 2 over here. Okay. So this is happiness. Happiness. That's a good lesson we're working on. I'm aware that being happy means that I'm on the right path. So we're working on what it means to be happy, how happiness looks to us, what happiness actually feels like. It's kind of a tough lesson I'm going through as well, so I get that feeling. So I want to look specifically with the Tarot of the Divine. They're all tied to different stories and mythologies and fairy tales from around the world. So I want to look at what this one is specifically for you as well, group number 4 here. So the 6 of Coins, the woman who was kind to insects. It's an Alaskan Inuit fable. 6 of Coins represents kindness and generosity to those less fortunate. The old woman from this Inuit tale understands the need to put positivity into the world in order to receive it back. The pay it forward methodology of karma. Generosity, charity, happiness, kindness, value, reward. Okay, so an Inuit fairy tale there. That one's pretty. So yeah, we definitely see the insect, right? The coins representing these, we see the coin, each of the insects holding a different coin here as she's releasing this one from this jar here, right? So we're working on happiness, and that is one of the easiest lessons, but also one of the hardest lessons, group number 4. I'm aware that being happy means that I'm on the right path. So this is really taking the time to figure out what happiness means to you, how to go about being happy, what that feeling actually truly is, right? There is a wide spectrum of emotions, right? And how I tend to think about things is we don't want to be in the extremes of any emotions, right? If you're thinking about things like on a scale or this up and down motion we have, right? Where it's like, okay, these big peaks, these big highs, big lows, big highs, big lows, right? And while those can be very exciting and fun and bring a lot of diversity. Okay, let's focus in, please. Let me focus down. There we go. Better. Well, this can bring like a lot of focus and like let's read this actually. Before incarnating, your soul created a blueprint for you to follow in this physical dimension. The easiest way to chart this path is to follow your bliss. Life is full of choices and opportunities. Spirit in its infinite wisdom has given you the emotion of happiness to guide you. The signposts are always there, but you have to acknowledge them and have the courage to follow them. As you hold this card, do you feel that you're living a life of happiness? In what areas is it lacking? It may be time to be truthful with your soul self. Listen to its language and in tune if there is someone or a scenario holding you back from experiencing complete happiness, even though it may be painful to admit. You need to be completely truthful. Be mindful of how happiness will affect every aspect of your life on your path. Also in tune if there is someone else in your life who needs to be brought into awareness of happiness. This is important to recognize as well. Others will want to learn from you, and whether you admit it or not, you can be their teacher. When you're filled with love and compassion, not only do you bring happiness into your life, you lead others by example. Be the light. So group number 4, I did want to read that just to help clarify what this card specifically is talking about happiness, because what I define as happiness and maybe what the Oracle is defining as happiness and what you personally define as happiness can change and be different depending on the person, right? As I was kind of saying earlier, there are these big highs and big lows in our life, and where I personally try to be in my life is this more low-key kind of contentment happiness, right? There are moments of big blissful happy energy that's higher on the spectrum, right? That shared joy where you're so happy you're crying almost, right? Those are big emotions, and it's hard to be in those emotions all the time, and sometimes we don't even want to be in those emotions all the time because then it makes it less special, right? But the reverse is also true, where we have these deep lows, right? So me personally, as I was going through life and working through life, I was trying to, like, if I'm thinking about a graph, right, I'm trying to average out the level I'm at. If like neutral is 0, right, but I want to be on the positive side most of the time, then I'm trying to like up the average of my graph by having more happy moments, trying to be in more positive moments. I still have those lows, of course. That's just how life goes. This is that ebb and flow of life where we have positive and negative emotions and feelings and change things, but we can more often find opportunities for happiness and being in that space and up our overall average and feeling of contentment and joy in our life, where it's like you'll say most of, like, yeah, you have your sad moments and bad things or whatever, but for the most part for your life, you're happy, things are good, you feel joyful about your life, happy about your life, right? And where we working on this lesson of happiness, right, what's going on in the 6 of Coins, it's really interesting, the thought process of winter, right, and what we need to let die and what we need to let go of. For other groups, when I was doing this reading, right, where it's like, no, this is a very specific situation or a specific thing. But this is a little bit more subtle energy where you're trying to get to this point, right? So whatever is keeping you from this point, whatever keeping you from being happy, from finding joy, treating people with this kindness and respect and dignity in all areas and aspects of your life at all times, is what we are working to let go of and we'll let pass on in winter here. Right, being in this energy of this giving 6 of Coins, which is in turn bringing us happiness and putting us in this energy of happiness all the time. And we, at this point in time, group number 4, it feels like, are really trying to figure out what this means, right? Really trying to let go of a situation that isn't bringing us happiness, isn't letting us be in this joyful, I really want this to focus too. It's trying. Keeping us from being in this joyful space, in this joyful energy, and being really content and together with it. Or trying to figure out how to be this positive influence, right? So there are things in your life, like the happiness card was talking about, that are holding you back, whether it's a person, a situation, a place, that's holding you back from putting positivity into the world in the way you want, right? It's keeping you from being this type of person here, this figure, this woman in the Inuit story who shares all this generosity, who's kind to even the insects, right? I'm remembering like a quote from, I think it's Avatar: The Last Airbender. Maybe not, it's not going to be the exact quote, but paraphrased, where it's like, Aang doesn't even like hurt a fly. He doesn't even want to hurt like a squish like a fly or anything like that. There's just the preciousness of life, and this is kind of the energy the 6 of Coins card is giving off here. So it's not clear from the cards itself here, group number 4, what situation is keeping you from this happiness, what situation is keeping you from being in this positive mindset here. That's going to be up to you and your kind of intuition and how you apply to the situation, of course, what you feel is actually going on further in your life. But that's what we are trying to let pass on now in winter, what we're trying to let go to rest, die, because we don't need it anymore. It's not fulfilling for us anymore because we're trying to be in this energy. So there's almost like another card over here that is missing. Maybe we'll get it with like our alchemy deck that's up here as we work further in. That'll kind of show us how this energy has been changing and transforming. But you, it seems like, are aware of the situation already. If we're already in the 6 of Coins energy here, you're kind of already aware what's going on. So let's get your Moonology card over here now and get some advice for you just as you keep progressing with this situation. See what we need to know. And that might help clear up the energy a little bit too. So, Moonology manifestation cards for group number 4 here. The lesson of the 6 of Coins in regards to their overall happiness. What advice can we give them? What advice can we give them as they're progressing and trying to let this thing die now in winter? I think we want that one. Okay. New Moon or Virgo. Trust all will be well. Okay. I like the complementing green here. That is very interesting to look at for this one. So I will read out of this booklet as well, just because there are very little specific parts for each of these. And this is not a deck I use as frequently. So trust all will be well. Sometimes we want everything to happen yesterday, but divine timing is a real thing. So remember, as I was saying here, right, where it's like, okay, something's already happening. You kind of know what's going on, but we're trying to progress the situation faster than maybe it wants to. So, but divine timing is the real thing. Sometimes we need more pieces of a jigsaw to fall into place before we can get what we want. Slowing down now is the key for you to get what you want. So take your time and allow events to unfold. See what you can do for others as a real quick and easy way to distract yourself and to boost your good karma while you wait for your dreams to manifest. So doing this good work, right, that prosperous energy, that's giving positive energy, that's showing up with Six of Coins in the Inuit story here, right? So being giving and happy, giving that happiness to others while you're waiting for the situation to develop. So see what you can do for others as a real quick and easy way both to distract yourself and to boost your good karma while you wait for your dreams to manifest. There's a reason why you pull this card, so make sure you pay attention. This card is especially a good sign for matters related to a job or health situation. Coins over here also representing job, physical reality, money, career. So manifesting mindset, go out of your way to help someone, helping boost karma, be reliable, don't overthink things, be modest. So it definitely ties in with the energy of the story for sure here, group number 4. So what's going on here with the situation, right? We're trying to chase our happiness. We're trying to figure out what our happiness is and getting to that point, but we're not quite there yet. It's not quite panning out maybe in the way we want to. So what Spirit's asking us, what the universe is asking us, is trusting in the process here, trusting that things will be well, that we will get to the point where we are, and discovering happiness at a bigger, grander scale, right? Discovering happiness in a bigger way. And in the meantime, what really feels like we're trying to let die away now in winter with this clarification card, and the advice of our Moonology card over here is to let the fear pass away, let the fear die, fear that we won't be happy, that things won't turn out how we want to. So that's why the advice coming in here is that the kind of like a distraction energy, right? Being very generous and positive with others, because that'll distract us in the meantime, and that lets the universe work its magic on the other side, to getting all those other pieces in place while we just kind of let it happen, right? We trust that it's going to happen, trust all will be well. Being very positive and giving in the meantime with our Six of Coins over here. And eventually all this overall leads to this bigger lesson of happiness, being aware that being happy means I'm on the right path. Knowing now in this moment that you are on the right path, because even though it doesn't feel like it, we do have that trust at the same time, right? We trust and are finding ways to be happy in the meantime, following that happiness, using happiness as a guiding light in order to get to where we're going in the long run, okay? So as I'm kind of working through this energy too, I'm like, okay, this is probably my group number 4. So I'm probably joining you in this energy for advice for winter here, for winter's light, the light at the end, the light amongst all of it, light, the knowing our light here is this happiness, that we will get to this happiness, that we can be happy now at the same time. And then that works in the bigger context and the bigger picture to be like, okay, nope, it'll all be well, it'll all pan out. So let us be in this energy of giving and positivity and generosity in the meantime, giving us more happiness and building more happiness in the situation, growing that like happiness bubble, right? And then that will just keep growing and helping change things and move things along faster. So now group number 4 here, with our energy present and kind of knowing what's going on. If we work through this lesson here, what feels more like a lesson of fear, allowing ourselves to be happy, working to allow ourselves to be happy. If we actually progress through this lesson here in winter, what can we expect now in spring? So let's get our Earth Magic card. What can we expect to grow and bloom come spring? Okay, Earth Magic. For group number 4 here with the Six of Coins, the lesson of happiness, our advice of trusting all will be well. What can we expect in spring if we work through this energy and let this lesson finish up? What can we expect to grow in spring if we finish out this energy in winter? Okay. Focus, crystals, volatility. So I won't take the volcano volatility card, but usually what this is too is all like abrupt changes, right? So all of a sudden things, while we've been patient and waiting for such a long period of time here with all this other energy, all of a sudden it's comes spring and working through this energy, working through this process that's showing up here with the winter's light. All of a sudden things are going to very rapidly change with volcano. So good to know. But what we do have out that we want to specifically focus on is crystals. So group number 4, with crystals coming out as our spring energy that we're kind of moving into, panning out with the completion of this lesson here. What it feels like with crystals and focus is that we're finally actually going to be able to anchor down some of this energy that's been kind of loose for a long time, right? Where it's like, okay, we know what we're trying to accomplish, but we don't have the tools yet, maybe, or the abilities. We don't have the grounding yet that we need in order for everything to pan out how we want to, right? So that's why the universe in the meantime is like, okay, hey, I'm getting all these things situated for you over here. I'm trying to put all these jigsaw pieces together, but we're not quite there yet. So I need you to just distract yourself in the meantime, work on some things over there in the meantime while I get this over here. And once these pieces are in place that the universe is lining up for us, come in this spring energy, finally those pieces we need, the pieces that feel like they've been missing here, will come about and actually allow us to finally focus and ground down, right? Crystal, while highly spiritual, is some of the most grounding at the same time, because it is literally just hard rock. It's crystal, right? It's elements of the earth that have been part of the earth and built up by the earth, right? So it's like literally the most grounding energy you can possibly get at the same time while being highly focused and highly spiritual. It's a very interesting combination. So come spring here with our spring energy, this final card in this spread specifically, we're finally, whatever project you've been thinking about, group number 4, or that situation, or that thinking about moving, or something big like that, something big and life-changing that we saw with volcano, right? The other card that came out, that abrupt change. This abrupt change, things are going to change very rapidly and very abruptly, in almost kind of a volatile way, but we're finally going to be able to focus and nail down some of these things that have been kind of loosey-goosey here for a really long time, because we finally trusted the process, trusted the universe to take care of us, and take care of us in the way we need to, and trust that we will be taken care of. So then finally those jigsaw pieces that it was talking about are finally in place, and then we can actually really focus down and ground this energy finally. So let me just get our last card here, get a card from the alchemy deck, see if we missed anything as I'm wrapping up this reading here. It's going a little long, but alchemy deck, is there anything we missed here for group number 4, or anything else we need to know about how the energy is changing or transitioning? Anything we need to know about this lesson? Thank you. Oh, that was a clear one. The despicable face. That is an interesting card for sure. So I'll pull these guys down and have that one there. So last part of our reading here, group number 4, the despicable face coming out, right? There are pieces that are hidden. This is what it kind of feels like the universe is working on for us, the jigsaw pieces that's moving around here, kind of like see all the pieces around the outside of the card here. The last pieces the universe is trying to move around. The despicable face talks about the things that we are maybe ashamed of, or the things that are hidden, that we don't want to acknowledge sometimes, but we need to in order to be our true authentic self, right? We're trying to work on this bigger lesson of happiness, and that is part of finding that happiness is being true to ourselves in every aspect of ourselves, really knowing ourselves down to a deeper core level here with the despicable face. That is the big important energy here, and the universe is trying to like, okay, hey, you're working on big energy here, big changes, big things in the meantime. So we're trying to move everything around so you see all the different parts, see all the different things that are hidden, that you are in the shadows that you maybe weren't aware of. We can bring it into out of the shadows here, bring it out of this new moon energy here, the moon and shadow here, right? Bring it into focus so we see everything clearly. And this is our clear quartz, right? Ever seeing things clearly. Clear quartz energy is probably going to be very beneficial for this group as well, using it, programming it to be like, okay, what do I need to see? What do I need to see? See those like shiny little pieces here in the the stone. So what do I need to see clearly? Because that's going to allow you to clear out so much energy, clear out so much more. And another thing you can work on in the meantime while the universe keeps moving and shuffling all the pieces over here, right? So another little bit of thing you can work on. This might be the card actually that was supposed to be over here. We kind of move it right here, right? So the things that are hidden from us that we're trying to figure out, what didn't make sense, what didn't resonate anymore, what we've been hiding from ourselves. So the lesson, we're trying to clear that out so we can be in a more positive, giving energy, because we're learning how to be happy overall while we're trusting the universe. This is the lessons we're working on while we're trusting the universe to get everything in place, all the pieces in place, so we can really focus down and clear out our energy in the way we need to and moving forward. With this true lesson of happiness here. So, okay, group number 4. Interesting energy here for sure. Your reading ran a little bit longer than some of the other groups because it was just a little bit more of a complicated story here, a little bit more complicated for what you're working on. But hopefully that resonates with you. Hopefully that makes sense. I'll see you in the next reading. I hope you have a wonderful winter, calming winter as you work through this energy here. I'll see you come again for the spring growth reading and in the next reading, wherever that may be. Have a good rest of your day. I'll see you next time. Bye. Hello, group number 5, my final group. So let's take a little bit closer look at your crystal here. You have one that's a little bit more of a foggy, kind of like, almost not quite smoky, but it has kind of that same element of like a smoky quartz would have, where there's just a little bit more like smudgy, kind of like snowy aspect to this one, where it's got a little bit more of that, like, I don't know what's the right word. It's like smudged almost, like that, like clearness is almost smudged out. It's a little bit more like opaque. Yeah, there we go. That's the word I want. A little bit more opaque in this one. So this is group number 5. So what we're going to do, group number 5 here, we're going to pull a card from the Tarot of the Divine. This is going to represent our energy that needs to pass on. We need to let die in winter. It needs to be put to rest, put to bed, because it's no longer serving us anymore. So this is going to be kind of like our main card. We'll get more clarification, see what lesson it's part of with the Soul's Journey cards here. So these two tie in really heavily together. It's the overall picture, the big picture, what's going on, what we need to know, what we are trying to pay attention to, what lesson we're learning. And then from that point, I'd like to get a manifestation card from the Moonology deck here, the Moonology manifestation cards, because this will give us our advice, right? It's one thing to kind of be aware of what's going on in our life. Developing awareness is super important, of course, but it's really hard sometimes to move past that point, and the advice from this deck is going to hopefully be helpful to be like, okay, here's an actionable thing you can do to work through this lesson that you're being presented with, okay? And then finally, if we clear through this energy, work through this energy, actually let this die, let this go to bed, let it go to rest, in winter's light energy here, what will come again now in spring? What will be growing in spring? What can we expect and kind of look forward to? And that's the card we'll pull with our Earth Magic deck. Finally, and I've done it for all 4 groups at this point, so I'll just say I'll do it for you as well. We'll get a card from the Alchemy deck. This kind of helps round out our energy, figure out that last little bit we may be missing, or give us a little bit different perspective, or help clarify the energy that maybe is changing and transforming, which is the alchemy process. So let us get started now. Let's get a card from our Tarot of the Divine. Time to get started. So okay. Tarot of the Divine for my final group, group number 5 here. What do they need to let die in winter? What do they need to let go of? What's no longer serving them? What do they need to let die in winter, please? For group number 5, what do they need to let die in winter? Thank you. Let me double check. This is the same card that came out for group number 4, but it's coming out in the reverse. Let me see if it's super different for you. Otherwise, it might just be good for you to pay attention to group number 4 as well. Group number 5, there might be some overlying messages for you. Abuse of power. Let me get... Is there more you can offer me? One more card, please. Okay. Ten of Swords in the reverse. Yeah, Ten of Swords. Okay, that one fits a little bit more, so let's go with that one. Okay, so for Ten of Swords here, just so we're on the same page, this is talking about surviving disaster, recovery, regeneration, the inevitable. So I'll get to the story this one is a part of specifically in a minute here. I want to pull your soul's journey cards here first. But this one also looks like it kind of ties into that Inuit mythology just at first glance. So let us get our energy from the soul's journey cards now. I'm sorry, group number 5, I probably just didn't clear the energy super well between the groups here, but we got a good reading now. So soul's journey cards for group number 5 here specifically. What does the reverse Ten of Swords, what lesson is this a part of for group number 5? What do they need to let die, pass on now for winter? What lesson is this a part of? That one? Yeah, okay, worry. I'm learning that worry doesn't change an outcome. Okay, let's get a good close-up look at that one here. Yeah, beautiful color. I love the color in that one a lot. Purple's my favorite color. It's coming a little bit, I like the way it looks on camera better than it does in person. It's a little bit more blue tone versus on camera it's a little bit more red tone here. But so Ten of Swords in the reverse here, the story from the Ten of Swords, because each of the tarot, the divine, is tied to a specific mythos or story or fable. But yep, this one's in Inuit mythos too. So Sedna, Canada, Inuit mythology. The Ten of Swords represents backstabbing and betrayal. Sedna's father pushes her from his kayak and chops off her fingers when she tries to cling to his boat. She sinks to the bottom of the ocean, becomes consumed with wrath, eternally seeking revenge. Oof. That's a strong one. Something I do want to point out with the Six of Coins. This is also an Inuit mythology, so this might be something for you to pay attention to, group number 5, if that's resonating for anybody. Some of those mythos, maybe some of those stories. This is another Inuit mythology. This one is, let me see what it's called real quick for you, just so you're aware. Because usually our coincidences are not coincidences. So it's the woman who was kind to insects, Alaska specifically, an Inuit fable. So if that's tying in for anybody, any Inuit fairy tales, fables, stories, mythos that are important to you, or you have that background, maybe something to pay attention to. So Ten of Swords energy here, very strong, right? We have strong energy of pain and fear, betrayal. It's not a fun energy by any means, but with it coming in the reverse here, it is the process of having already been through something bad, something scary, and coming out the other side, right? We've already survived the disaster. We've gotten through the bad situation here. So we're trying to work through this process of recovery, of healing. But with the lesson being worry here, I'm learning that worry doesn't change an outcome, right? So it feels like there is anxiety in the situation, right? We are very fearful that something like this is going to happen to us again. Of course, super traumatic, right? Something very painful and traumatic and not fun to go through. Of course, we don't want to go through it again. We don't want to have to worry about that. So it is a worry in our head all the time, right? It's something that's in the back of our mind constantly, potentially. That's where that anxiety feeling I'm getting is coming up here. So with the lesson of worry, though, it's very important to trying to take a breather here myself, right? Where it's like, okay, hey, yes, it's an understandable, justifiable fear for sure. It's something that it's like, yes, this is something terrible we've gone through and we don't want it to happen again. But there are things we can do in order to prepare ourselves, and after a certain point, once all those things are in place, it doesn't do us good to worry beyond that anymore, because it doesn't do a purpose, it doesn't have a purpose, doesn't serve us, right? Worry, that anxiety, having that anxious feeling is there in order to protect us, but once we have done all the things we can to protect us, there's really not much more to do at that point. So it doesn't serve us, it only harms us to stay in this energy. With worry here specifically, group number 5, let me read, double check the description here. Yeah, the way it says, it's a worry is a wasted emotion. It does nothing other than give you an illusion of control. When you expend too much energy worrying, it limits you and has an adverse effect on the natural energy of the soul. Worrying destroys the hope, faith, and excitement that are wonderful elements of this schoolroom called Earth. Remember, you are what you think, and you have the power to create positive thoughts, which beget positive outcomes. Worry is a negative emotion and sets you up for a negative result. What unnecessary worries are you carrying around with you now? Examine them objectively in the light of love. Help your soul by releasing them and be fully connected to the current moment, which is where your power resides. So, yeah, group number 5, the energy here very, very strong, where it's like, okay, up to a certain extent, yes, of course, that feeling of worry and anxiousness can protect you and take care of you. It does have a historical evolutionary purpose, but staying constantly in that energy no longer is beneficial and actually negatively harms you, harms your health, harms your relationships, how you interact with others, right? So depending on what the situation was, this deep betrayal that's happening that you're working to heal from, this can be something that's coloring all your future relationships. If you're not careful, it can be one that is coloring every situation you're looking at, right? Where it's like, well, that person did this to me, so is this person going to do it to me again, right? So just something basic, even when you were like young, right? If you got cheated on, for example, right? This deep, sorry, as I hit you here, this deep energy of betrayal and hurt, right? And then you put that energy on everybody else, every other relationship you have, you're constantly worried about it, right? And then because you're constantly worried about it, it brings about that energy. This is just basic law of attraction energy. And while I think thinking things through in a manner of law of attraction and manifestation can be really beneficial to like know the basic practices of it, we have to be very careful with that at the same time too, where it's like we don't get too lost in it. I like to make sure I honor my emotions, my feelings at the same time, but I try not to stay in anything terribly like too long at the same time, where it's like if I'm paying attention, just like if I feel like I'm in a bad mood, right, and I'm grumpy about a situation, if I continue to be in that mood all the time, then I find more things to be grumpy about. If I'm sad, I find more things to be sad about, right? So it's really good to like experience our emotions, honor our emotions, but not wallow in those emotions, right? So the feeling here of the worry and the anxiousness is emotion that can be very easily to get lost in and wallow in. And that's why it's popping up here now for our spring growth reading, where we need to make sure that we are our winter's light reading first and moving into spring growth. I'm already thinking about the spring here and how this can pan out and change for you, but really making sure that it's like, okay, hey, yes, this thing happened to us. Yes, this thing sucked. Somebody hurt us. There was an abuse of power, greedy, something bad that happened here, right? This is also that 6 of Cups, coins energy that came out for us, that greed, that power play, that abuse of power, right? And then this one, right, where the father specifically in this Inuit myth, this fable here, like hurts their daughter, cuts off their finger. That's brutal. That's brutal energy, group number 5. And again, while yes, this is something that you pay attention to and learn from, it's after a certain point when we need to heal, right? We need to heal from the situation. We need to take care of ourselves, work through it, so we're not constantly in this stage, this fight or flight stage, this fight, flight, or freeze energy that's just harmful to us, to our nervous system, to our body overall. This constant stress that you might be under with this worrying energy is just going to keep negatively affecting you. It's going to have a negative effect on you continuously. I'll rephrase that here. So the lesson of worry here is going to be very important to work through this lesson, okay? So for this one especially, let me get some advice for you. This is going to be something we really need to pay attention to and hopefully get something actionable for you besides the obvious, like going to therapy, talking to somebody, right? Actually physically going through healing, depending on what the situation might have been for some of you out there, which is horrible, but that could be the case for some people. But okay, Moonology manifestation cards, please give me some good advice for group number 5 here as they work through this lesson of the reverse 10 of swords and worry. They are on a healing journey already, it seems like, with the card coming in reverse, but what else can they do to work through this lesson of worry? Some good advice for them, please. Okay, I will take the bottom of that one. Work through your feelings. Yeah, okay. So that makes sense. And then push through insecurity. It's also there. So interesting, it matches a little bit color-wise here, but this is the last quarter moon in Aries, working through your feelings, work through your feelings. So the last quarter moon in terms of our moonology energy, or moon energy, that is before you go into a new moon, and where energy is winding down, right? This is right before that's like rebirth process, which is what we're going through with winter, right? This energy moving down into that rest period, into that time for respite, healing, trying to rejuvenate, conserving energy. So that energy there is here with the last quarter moon for sure. But let us read the advice for this one specifically. So work through your feelings, last quarter moon in Aries. Should be the first one. Yeah. Someone has had their feelings hurt. Maybe it's you. Deal with this upset especially, but not only if it's on the home front. Whatever is going on right now will get better if you take steps to make sure that no one is feeling like they've been emotionally run over. If you feel like your feelings have been trampled on, it's time to work through them and clear them. Then you can move towards your goals. It's hard to manifest when hurt feelings are in the way. Manifestation mix relationships, especially with family and or the people you live with, are at extra charge right now. If someone is riding roughshod over your feelings, don't sulk. When someone upsets you, it's easy to wear your hurt like a badge of honor, but that merely perpetuates the situation. So I definitely think in terms of the card, it's being a little bit more light than maybe your situation actually is here, group number 5. So I don't want to disregard somebody's pain that is here. 10 of Swords energy is a very hard energy, a very difficult energy, but the advice of the card is the same either way, where we need to work through these feelings, right? The depth of the pain and the hurts here is going to vary person to person and the situation to situation, but either way we have to work through them, heal them. And while there probably will still be scars at the end of the day and painful spots, to triggering points, things that are still going to be triggered depending on the situation, right? For the most part, we can be in a very healed, complete whole energy again in the long run if we're working through these feelings, right? Working through this energy. And you're already on the process, the start of that process, right? The 10 of Swords did come out in the reverse here, so just keep that in mind. You already are on this journey, but it's not going to do you any good to stay in an anxious, worried energy. You have to work through those feelings, work through that energy as well, because that'll help progress your situation and actually lead to real growth and real good healing in the long run, especially as we work into spring energy here with earth magic that we're going to get into next. So if we work through this energy, finally process this energy that is showing up here for your reading, group number 5, let us see now what we can expect, what good things can come about with earth magic in spring. What can we expect for spring growth? And usually this is going to be very positive, I hope, for you, okay? So earth magic, if group 5 works through all this energy here, they get through this lesson of worry, work through their feelings, what can they expect in spring with spring growth? Thank you. Fell on the ground. Okay, that is shape-shifting clouds. Oh, good. This is a good energy. So this shows to me, group number 5, a transformation process for sure. This being able to change a situation at any given point. Clouds, again, the shape-shifting energy, clouds can change and move and dissipate and build up. It depends on the situation around them, of course, but the ability to shapeshift is a very strong, powerful energy, especially in like shaman work. That shifting energy allows you to really work through lots of situations and be in a good shape in lots of different situations at any time. So it's a really good positive energy for clouds here that I'm really happy to see for you, group number 5. What this means for what this means for what I'm feeling for me, for you, group number 5, is the ability to really discover who you are at a really deep level, right? Once we finally take out this pain, this betrayal, this hurt, this grief that we may be experiencing, this deep, deep-seated pain that's present here with the Ten of Swords in the reverse, we have the ability to actually really truly discover who we are at the end of the day, and that allows this shape-shifting ability to really come in, allow us to shape-shift and find those deeper pieces of ourselves. Because through your process of working through your feelings here, the advice of the card, you dig down to these really, really deep, intricate, deep, dark levels of yourself that you maybe didn't know existed at the time or beforehand, or that you didn't know to the depth, the extent. And then that allows for deep, deep transformation and you to really be able to explore and figure out who you are. And that's a really fun energy, right? Once we can really nail down who we are, know who we are at our core without all this pain blocking it and this fear blocking us from doing that thing we maybe want to do, we can really discover new things about ourselves, right? If we are out of this anxious energy, this worry energy, we can do those things that excite us, that are a little bit scary, but it's fun at the same time, right? Maybe you find out you really like wearing a certain style of clothes, or you like a certain style of dance. It's you are able to be in different situations and change and match the situation because you are free, because you actually truly know who you are, or can go through this process of discovering who you really are. And that's really good, important energy that I'm excited for you to have come spring here, group number 5. So let me pull down the cards a little bit here. Let me finish out our reading here with an alchemy card just to see what else we might have missed, or if we need a little bit more information on the situation. Okay, alchemy deck for group number 5 here. Is there anything we missed or anything we need to know in order to help round out this reading? Anything else that is important for group number 5 to know? Nope. Oh. Okay. So we have summer just popping out there as well. That'll be good to know. Mortification. Oof. Okay. So yeah, group number 5, this is the last kind of card, and it definitely ties in really heavy with our reverse Ten of Swords over here. The mortification is the death process, the things that has already died, but it's decaying and decomposing, right? So whatever situation harmed you, right, if you're still holding on to it, then this can be a very poisonous energy potentially. It's one that we have to have a little bit more separate from us, and we need to, like if we have something rotting in the fridge, right, we don't want to keep it around the other healthy, alive, fresh ingredients, right, because then it can infect those other pieces of the food that's in the fridge, so for an example, right? Same thing with like a limb. As rough as that is to say, but we do have that kind of energy over here with the Ten of Swords and the story from Sedna. So mortification's telling you to like, hey, this has already died, this has already passed, this has already moved on. You're holding on to it too much though. That's that worry here, right? That anxious energy. You're holding on to it. It's already passed. It's already dead. It's already happened. We can't do anything more about it. So we need to let that finish rotting over there. It needs to stay over there. And we don't want it to infect other pieces of our life. So that's why we really need to do this work through our feelings here. We need to make sure we dig through every piece, we comb through every little situation in ourselves and in our life, and make sure there's no rotting pieces that we don't know about. Make sure that we have turned every stone over in ourselves and our emotions and our feelings and the depths of ourselves, really worked through these feelings at a core deep level to make sure that we don't have any more rot here, because we don't want it to stay. And that process, if we clear it out finally, then new things can grow again and we can discover new things about ourselves with shape-shifting over here. Okay, so group number 5, tough energy for sure. The process here that you're going through, what you need to let pass on and die in winter here, it's already passed. It's already happened. It's already gone. It's decaying and rotting at this point. So we just need to finish clearing it out, make sure that it can be put aside and put it in the compost, right? So it's good in the compost. It can help bring new life in the end by putting in the compost bin. The metaphor in this case here, right? So work through your feelings, work through this worry, anxious energy, work through it, and don't let it hold you back. sorry, excuse me. Don't let it hold you back, because there's so much more available to you in the long run here with clouds and shapeshifting. That comes spring, come that new growth, spring energy. There's so much available to you. Once you have the space cleared out for it, then you will be able to find out new things about yourself you maybe otherwise didn't know, because you didn't have the space for it before. So clear out all the rot. Clear out all the rot, group number 5, and let new things grow, okay? So that's what I have for you, group number 5, for your winter's light reading. Hopefully that resonated with you. Hopefully it made sense. Strong energy here for you for sure, but I will see you in the next reading come spring growth energy, that spring reading, or in another reading on my channel. I hope you have a wonderful winter and a wonderful rest of your day. Have a good one. Bye.